Hi, welcome to the Weather Gurus podcast for September 19th, 2022. This is going to be dealing with Hurricane Fiona, its track and its latest movement, and the conditions experienced here after ravaging Puerto Rico as a Category 1 hurricane making landfall on the southwestern tip of Puerto Rico, just to the east of Mayaguez, Puerto Rico, and Cabo Rojo. It continued on through the Mona Passage to the eastern Dominican Republic, hitting them with hurricane force wind gusts and causing damage there as well, torrential rains and flooding. Now, 100% of Puerto Rico was out without power. Many people have generators in Puerto Rico, and they are reporting flooding is subsiding, but there's still a lot of damage to be cleaned up to be done. That'll be done this coming week as requested. We see Fiona here. You can clearly see the pinwheel eye there, clearly on the infrared satellite here, and the deep convection on the western side and eastern side of that eye wall there. Winds currently at sustained 100 miles an hour, Category 2 hurricane, pressure down to 972 millibars according to the National Hurricane Center, moving northwest at 10 miles an hour. So speed has picked up a little bit compared to the 8 miles an hour as it crawled over the Hispaniola and Puerto Rico previously. But now as we get into this is the headline, Fiona is strengthening as of the 5 p.m. advisory. It is expected to become a Category 4 hurricane in the open Atlantic well east of the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos on its way to Bermuda as its final destination. Now, looking at the wind field here, the maximum hurricane force winds extend out upward to 30 miles, okay? So that's the main constant so far. Tropical storm force winds extend out 140 miles. So it's a pretty compact system compared to, relatively speaking, compared to other systems that can easily be 300, 400 miles wide. So the hurricane force winds are confined to 30 miles. Tropical storm force winds can extend outward to 140 miles here. So we continue to follow this hurricane as it affects Turks and Caicos later Tuesday, early Tuesday morning, and also it will continue. But the Turks and Caicos now will be on the, once again, mindful, it'll be on the western side, which is the weakened side. But if that eye wall, that western eye wall, will get very close here to Providenciales, Grace Bay, the Turks and Caicos. But they'll be on the western side, which is considered the weaker side of this storm. However, they still will be pretty close to getting definitely tropical storm force winds, and then a chance of a hurricane force gust depending on how close the center of circulation gets to them. So continuing on here, Fiona is scheduled to be a Category 4 hurricane with winds of 130 miles an hour. And we do see the surface winds there, the tropical storm force winds right there denoted in orange, approaching the Turks and Caicos and southeastern Bahamas, Eleutheria Islands right now, and there's a tropical storm warning in effect. Those winds are just getting in there. So by 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Eastern time, those winds will be affected, the tropical storm winds. Now, the good news about this system is that as a major hurricane, it'll become the first major hurricane of the year in the Atlantic Basin. It will move quickly. Look at 2 p.m. Thursday to 2 p.m. Friday. The good news from Bermuda, there's two things going for it. Even though it'll be a Category 3 or 4 borderline, 120 miles an hour at least, passing through the Bermuda to the northwest of Bermuda, and the Bermuda will be on the east side of it. The good news is it's quick moving, and Bermuda is fortified, as you know, to handle these storms. They have concrete building standards that are rock solid, and they may have occasional power outages, but nothing where the whole island is suffering. Bermuda is only 21 square miles long, and so it's very hard for the hurricane to get very close to it and pinpoint it in with with the maximum winds. So, and with the hurricane winds only extending out 35 miles from the center right now, that means it has to be very close to. But in any event, they're going to experience some definitely tropical storm force winds, but it'll be a quick moving system. Now, looking at the Bermuda Weather Service here, the marine forecast, as you can see, Thursday, Hurricane Fiona will approach from the southwest and will pass to our near west as a major hurricane. So you're talking within maybe 80 to 120 nautical miles to the northwest of Bermuda. That will put them in deeply in the tropical storm force winds. Right now, they have a forecast. Look, in the evening, 50 to 65 knots with gusts to 75 knots. That's definitely hurricane strength there. So we look at 60 to 70 mile an hour winds with gusts to 85 miles an hour winds. And then seas 3 to 9 feet, 12 to 35 feet outside the reef. Then Friday is the big day. Wind southwesterly, 50 to 65 knots, gusts to 75 knots, decreasing 30 to 50 knots by the afternoon. And then it continues to decrease. Seas inside the reef 4 to 12, outside 15 to 45 feet, and then decreasing. So Thursday night and the Friday morning will be the brunt of it that Bermuda takes, at least if it holds out right now. And then after that, things will be decreasing and calming down. So this reminds me a lot of Hurricane Fabian. Fabian was a Category 3 hurricane that hit Bermuda. Direct hit with an eye. The eastern eye wall got within 10 nautical miles of Bermuda. And so they were definitely in that eastern eye wall. and they had 120-mile-an-hour sustained winds. But Fabian was a slower mover than this, and so they had 120-mile sustained winds for at least 6 to 8 hours. With Fiona, they will only get maybe 4 to 5 hours of winds. Maybe less than that above 75 miles an hour. So that's the great news. And for Bermuda. Now, for the other islands, Turks and Caicos, like I said, they will have power outages as a result of tropical storm force and hurricane force gusts exceeding 105 miles an hour as Fiona passes to their east. So the good news is, though, those in Nassau, Freeport, up in the upper Bahamas, they should not be affected by this. There will be some occasional outflow showers and outflow boundary from the outer feeder bands, but nothing should be concerned. The United States should be fine from Miami up to South Carolina and the Outer Banks. Everything looks good as it's moving according to the break in the subtropical ridge of the Bermuda High as anticipated. So that is excellent news for the United States and most of the Bahamas. So and we knew this was happening because you can see the very cold cloud tops here, and the global forecast models, as I say, continue to show that upper level southwesterly flow over Fiona as it moves in the southwest Atlantic early this week. And so the maximum winds they have here is 130 miles an hour. That will put it just into Category 4 status. That's within 48 hours from the forecast here, and then gradually accelerating and weakening down to Category 3 and 2 as it zooms by Bermuda. So I just want to give you a brief update here. Fiona, the next named storm we have is Gaston. There's a possibility for Gaston to develop in the Caribbean Sea. The models are hinting at something developing next week. And you can see it's going to be I'm going to show you here. It's going to be this area right here that only has a 30% chance. As it continues to move westward, and gets into the Caribbean, there's a chance for it to develop in the wake of Fiona, after Fiona's well long gone. Up here, this disturbance is a 40% chance of development, but conditions are less conducive up here because of the dip in the jet stream and also because of the heavily southwest wind shear up here that's just going to tear this apart here. And you can see this here on the visible satellite here. It's not much there. It's not organized laterally. And so that's all we have in the Atlantic Basin. Now, in the Eastern Pacific Basin, Madeline it's a 60-mile-an-hour tropical storm. It's moving to the west. It's going to move out into cold waters and die off into a depression. And over here, this is a 30% chance. Nothing is going on with that. And so they're quiet there. Central Pacific is quiet. Nothing in Hawaii. Great weather for surfing. Everything looks good over there. This has been the Weather Guru for your Fiona update as of September 19, 2022. Thank you for joining. Please be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next update. Thank you.